Want to start learning pixel art animation? I sure hope so, because that's what we're here for today. We're going to use this little blobby alien as the foundation for our studies today. We're going to talk about general animation principles that you may have heard of before, like squash and stretch, blurring, it's not blurring, smear. We're going to talk about smear frames, and we're also going to talk about what I think is most important, personality. And this little guy is going to have more than you think. Let's do it. Hey guys, I'm Andrew. I have almost made a lot of video games over the years. From a Sly Cooper stick person game, to an adaptation of my Mega Man fan comics, to a game based on my college roommates, to another couple of games with my college roommates, and most recently there was one that we started about a farmer who was trying to take down these aliens who were there to take his cows. Now if you're starting out making a game, your first reflex is probably to go ahead and start on your main character, right? And give him all these cool badass animations and stuff. But let's start small with this little guy called Gumball Gunther. He looks like a gumball. The app that I use is called Pixaki. I won't be going into the specific app details for this because I do want to keep this general for everybody no matter what program you're using. Here's Gunther. Let's go ahead and give him a gun. We gave him a hand because it's a video game and hands can pop out wherever you want them to, but I do want to say this is a little bit boring already. This guy's not just like gonna have a dead eye staring at you while he shoots. He's gonna be focused. So let's fix that a little bit. There we go. All we had to do was give him an eyelid and now he looks very serious. We've got 2 keyframes here so far. So how do you get from one to the next? Now you could just have the gun appear in his hand. If this is your player character, you want them to already have their gun out as soon as you push the button. But this is an enemy and we want the player to be able to react. So in order to do the animation for this one, I think it's cooler if his gun whoosh is up. That's called a smear frame when you do the whoosh. So if you start with that original gun forward pose, where would it be right before it gets to that level? We'll angle it down here. In order to make it look smeary, literally it's just a matter of coloring over those pixels and dragging them down. I also did an intermediate version of that eye as it's getting closed. So we go from the really closed in focused eye to a little bit more of an open eye. Then you do that again for the next frame, or the frame that would be before that, to an even lesser extent. And now all of a sudden, your guy can go from here, whoosh, to here. Now let's say he wants to actually attack. You could just do nothing, right? And just have the bullet come out of the gun. But again, I think personality is the most important. So we're gonna say when he shoots, he shuts his eye, like pow. And also let's make the bullet look a little stronger by putting a big old flash on the character. The light source is no longer the top right kind of area where I usually go. Now the light source is the gun. The other thing that I did to give the character a little bit more oomph is I actually scooted his gun in a few pixels. So if you look between the two, he's got the gun forward, and then as he's shooting, his eye closes, there's a flash, and the gun's pulled back a little bit. That right there, that gives it a little bit of animation, a little bit of strength, and a little bit of chutzpah. I don't know what chutzpah means. Now part of why I had the character have so many frames pulling that gun out was so that the player would have time to dodge it. But now that he's just got to put it away, we don't need as much mental preparation time. So if we just do 1 frame of animation, now the gun's gone. So already at this point, we've already learned a few principles and it wasn't even hard. We did a smear and we did an animation for an attack. I wanted this character to be a little unique in the world of video games and to have like a multi-height level sort of thing that he could do. That way the player would have to like crouch under any bullets that are being shot at him. Here he is, now he's tall. So the question now is how do we get him up there? Let's not do a smear like we did before. You probably could, but I don't think that would look as good as what we've got in store here. So what we want him to do is bounce down and bounce up. So let's work on the initial squash down sprite. You would normally probably want to go ahead and define the next keyframe, but we're only going to be doing a couple of frames here. So we're going to go ahead and just start with the next frame in this animation. So I copied and pasted his head and scooched it down a little bit and started drawing new cheeks on him. And again, when you're working with really cartoony stuff, especially like this, you can exaggerate as much as you want to. So let's squish him down again. We squish his eyelid to make it even more apparent. We puff those cheeks out even more so he looks really ridiculous. But now we got to stretch him up. So with this version, it's just redrawing it to be a little bit taller and a little bit stretchier. And what's important with this next sprite is that it is taller than his final form. That's part of the principles of squash and stretch. You want to go exaggerative. Now looking at this animation, it's pretty good, but I think we can do one thing actually again at the start of the animation to make it work even more visually. We're wanting him to squash down, but let's say he needs a new frame in order to get ready to actually do that. We're going to do a smaller stretch sprite to get himself ready. So he's going up, down, squish, up. Let's also work on the timing a little bit. He's squashing down, but he should stay there because that's how inertia should work. So if all we do is maintain that animation a little bit longer, duplicating the same frame to keep it staying there, that makes this a much more believable bounce. From here, we've designed the character. It's just a matter of copying and pasting everything from before, from his short version to that tall version, to have a fully fleshed out enemy. So we'll give him that focused face, we'll give him a shooty gun. Keep in mind, on his way to squish back down, he still needs that prep frame. So we'll do a taller one, squish him way down, springboard him back up, and now he's little again. And that's it. We've got our fully animated little boy who can go squish down, squish up, bounce all around, shoot, shoot, pow, pow. Different heights for the player to be able to dodge against or jump over his bullets, and we've done it. Remember guys, this is all supposed to be fun. I know that pixel art can be very stressful and there's a lot going on, but just enjoy it. Remember, the personality is what I think is the most important part. Even if your frames don't look exactly right in every scenario, as long as your game is oozing with charm, then it'll be cool and people will like it. Thank you guys for being here. If you've started a bunch of video games that you never finished, talk about those in the comments because I want to hear about them. And if you could, follow along for more pixel practice. I can't, it's so grumbly. Why am I so hungry?